Hey guys, welcome to a wild game of the World Chess Championship 2010. This championship is played between Vaselin Topalov and Vishy Anand. This is game 9 and the scores of the previous 8 games is 4-4. So let's check out this wonderful, amazing and a pretty wild game. Vishy Anand has the white pieces and Topalov has the black pieces. We get d4 and knight to f6. c4, e6, knight to c3 and bishop to b4. This is now the Nimzo-Indian defense. We have e3 and castles by black. We have bishop to d3 and c5, putting some pressure in the center. Knight to f3 and d5 now, putting some more pressure, trying to get some exchanges going. And now castles by Vishy Anand. We have c takes d4, finally relieving the tension in the center. E takes d4, d takes c4 and bishop takes c4. So white here has a lone pawn, and usually in the Nimzo-Indian defense white will have a lone pawn here on the d file, d4, and black will continue to keep attacking this piece and white will have to keep defending it. We have b6, finally trying to fianchetto the bishop on this nice diagonal, and bishop to g5, now pinning this knight. Bishop to b7 as planned and rook to e1. We have knight b to d7, now developing move, and rook to c1. Anand wants to keep an eye on this open file and try to grab it. Rook to c8, black does the same thing, now attacking this piece, and simply bishop to d3, defending the piece. We have rook to e8 and queen to e2. Bishop takes c3, we have b takes c3 and queen to c7, all developing moves, putting some more pressure on this pawn and getting out of this pin. So you don't really have to worry anymore about the pin. Bishop to h4 was played, proactive move, because now if you push this pawn then I have to take my bishop back, and also I'm going to put my bishop on g3 and attack your queen. Get your queen out of there. So not allowing that to happen, knight to h5. Now if you put your knight here, I'm just going to capture with my knight and ruin your pawn structure. So knight to g5, not allowing that to happen yet, and g6. Just defending this knight, because when you move the knight you open the discovered attack on this knight. Knight to h3, now returning the knight. Knight did its job there and it can now remaneuver to wherever it wants. So e5, and by the way, this knight move, knight to h3, was a new move because none of these this move has never been achieved before, so from here on it's a completely new game. And now f3, just pushing the pawn, not allowing this bishop to continuously keep attacking this g2 pawn. And queen to d6. Here Anand started to think, because Topalov wanted to get Anand out of his preparations, and with this queen to d3, that's exactly what happened. And there is a lot of poison to this position, because now if you capture this pawn on d4, then you get a discovered attack on the queen, so you have to deal with it. And after thinking for a bit, Anand plays bishop to f2, which is the correct move. You have to keep defending this pawn, but even then you just Topalov just played e captures d4 and opened a discovered attack. Now Anand decides to give up his queen for 2 rooks, and this is what he played. Queen takes e8, we get rook takes e8, and now rook takes e8 with check. We have knight to f8, now blocking the check, and c takes d4, finally recapturing the pawn, but again you have a lone pawn here on d4 which is going to be under pressure. Right now the queen is attacking it, but you have a bishop that's defending, and soon if you push it forward you're going to get the bishop that's attacking this pawn, and it's not likely that you're going to push it anytime soon. So knight to f6, Now attacking this piece here, the nice rook that is on the 8th rank, and we get rook e to e1, just retreating the rook. Knight to e6 and bishop to c4. Now attacking this knight. We get bishop to d5. Here black's typical idea is to capture and have some exchanges going, get these light square bishops off the board, and once you do that, you have to keep protecting this pawn. So you will tie up this light square bishop in protecting the pawn. Then you're just going to put a piece here on this d5 and not allow this pawn to be pushed. That's usually the idea. You blockade the pawn and not allow it to be pushed. Because right now it's a passed pawn, and passed pawns have to be blockaded. So after bishop to d5, we have bishop to g3. Now attacking the queen first, not immediately capturing, and queen to b4. Again, a standard idea. Now if you capture, and then you get rook captures and queen captures, so you lose a piece, and you don't really want to do that. So how do you continue? Anand continues with bishop to e5, now attacking this piece here. So if you capture my bishop, I'm going to first capture your knight. Knight to d7, defending and also attacking this bishop, and a3. Anand decides to attack the queen. Queen to a4, now defending everything, and finally bishop captures d5. Since there was nothing defending this bishop, and now you get knight captures e5 and bishop captures e6. Queen captures d4 first with check, and only now when the king moves, king to h1, you get f captures e6. So now if you count the material, black has a queen for 2 rooks and both have a knight. But black has one extra pawn here on the queen side. It's nothing to worry about. White is still in a pretty good advantage here for now. So after f takes e6, we have knight to g5. Now going after these two pieces, the pawns here, but you will simply defend it by queen to d6, and there is nothing white can show for. This looks like it's heading towards a draw. Knight to e4, now attacking the queen, and queen takes a3, finally eliminating the pawns. Now black has 2 passed pawns here, and this position is completely equal. There is no progress to be made by either sides if they play perfect chess. So rook to c3 now, attacking the queen. You can't really capture because it's defended, and queen to b2. Now keeping an eye on this rook in case your knight moves. Unlikely that it's going to move because you can't really attack, but just keeping an eye on the rook. h4. Now Anand wants to push his pawns, and b5. So does Topalov because he has 2 passed pawns that he wants to push. Rook to c8 check. King to g7, rook to c7 check, and king to f8. Knight to g5 and king to e8. Now you have to allow this captures or this captures because you can't keep protecting the pawn. So it's better to move away with the king and try to get into the game. Rook takes h7 and queen to c3. Now he's going to push his pawns further. And here this was the move 39th. After one more move, both of these players will get 30 extra minutes on the clock. And Anand didn't really have much time because initially he spent a lot of time. Later on he didn't, he played a little faster. But now Anand is desperate to get some time on his hands, and he plays rook to h8 with check. This is a slight mistake by Anand, mainly because now you allow the king to come up the board and support these 2 pawns. What Anand should have done is kept his rook here and not allowed the king to enter into the game. Of course, his rook would have been tied on the 7th rank, but that's fine. I mean, it can definitely control some of the queen squares from behind. It's completely fine. So, but anyways, Anand plays rook to h8 with check, and now you get king to d7, moving the king up the board, and it's now the king has entered the game. you can't really keep this king out of the game anymore. So rook to h7 check again, hoping that king goes back, but Topalov won't fall for it. King to c6, getting up the board. Rook to e4 and b4 now, pushing the pawn even further. Look at this pawn, it's just 3 squares from queening. Amazing. Now knight takes e6 and king to b6 first. Knight to f4, queen to a1 with check first, king to h2, and now a5, supporting this pawn since it was attacked by the rook. h5, g takes h5 and rook takes h5, and this is an amazing position where knight is attacked twice, but you can't really capture the knight because then you will get queen captures, and when you lose the queen, you can definitely push these pawns for for getting another queen, and your knight won't be able to stop the 2 pawns. So none of that was played. We have knight to c6 and knight to d5 check. King to b7. Anand starts spending a lot of time here, and he has less than 10 minutes left on the clock, and in the time pressure he doesn't really find the correct combination. Rook to h7 check. This is still okay. This is not bad. But king to a6. Now rook to e6 and king to b5, defending the knight. Rook to h5, and even under time pressure, Anand is finally finding some nice moves, and this is a pretty great move. And here Anand is up in position, and if you look at the computer evaluation, it shows plus 3.5, so Anand has a good advantage here, even though you have a queen and 2 passed pawns. But it's unlikely that these passed pawns will queen, since these 2 rooks can have a pretty good pressure and create some checkmating chances. So knight to d4, and this is just completely winning for Anand. What black should have done was taken the knight to d8 and then attack this rook, also defending your any of the checks that can come along. But now Anand just plays knight to b6 with check, and he is taking these squares from the king. King cannot go here, king cannot go here. The only place king can go is to a6. So that's what he does. King to a6 and rook to d6. Now attacking this piece, also keeping this piece in check. King to b7, trying to run away with the king and not allowing any discovered checks to come by moving this knight. Now you get knight to c4, and here black has to give up this knight. If not, black king is going to be checkmate pretty soon, because these two rooks control a lot of files, and this is going to be checkmate pretty soon if you don't give up the knight. So here Topalov decides to give up the knight, and knight takes f3 with check. We get g takes f3, and now queen to a2 with check, also opening an attack on this piece. So you have to play knight to d2, and now you're not you're not defending this b6 square and not allowing the rook to come to b6 with checks. So for now Topalov defends this position correctly, and king to c7, he goes after this rook. That's not defended. And rook h to d5. Now we have b3, getting this pawn even closer to queening, and rook to d7 check. King to c8 and rook to d8 check. King to c7, rook 8 to d7 check again, and king to c8. So now they are repeating the positions, because Topalov will be happy with a draw since he is down, and Anand here is trying to fish around and trying to find that winning combination, but it's really difficult, guys. It's not easy to find the combinations from here. I mean, computers, yes, computers can do it in seconds, but as a player who is in time trouble, it will be really difficult. So rook to g7, now not allowing the king to enter into this position, and this is exactly what Anand should have done in the previous moves when his rook was first on probably move 39 or 40, when he was reaching time control, when he played either rook to g8, or I think the rook was on h7 and he played rook to h7 check. So this is what he should have done, and not allowed these pieces to come up the board, because then your queen has to keep an eye on this backward king, because there are a lot of checkmate chances here. So after rook to g7, a4, now even pushing the pawn further, and these two pawns are really dangerous, and asking Anand, what do you want to do? Rook to c5 check, king to b8, and rook to d5. Now king to c8, and here Anand needs to play rook d to d7, this rook, and try to win the game, because this is completely winning. But he couldn't find this move, and this is the move that he was trying to find from so long. But I'm going to show you how this is played out. So rook d to d7, we get queen to c2. Now you have to defend the threat of rook to c7. But now king to g3 and b2. We have rook to c7 check, finally getting rid of the queen. Queen captures c7, rook captures c7, and king captures c7. Now knight to b1, and you protect this square as well. And you have a pass pawn that you can push and get a queen into the game. So king to c6. Now f4, king to b5, f5, a3. Now you can finally capture this piece. Knight takes a3, king to b4, and knight to b1 again. Then black has to give up one of the pieces to try and go closer to this knight, get the knight, and then move aside and then push this pawn. So how many moves is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So in 5 moves, black will get a queen, but in just 3 moves, white will get a queen. So white is much faster here, and he's winning. King to b3, f6, king to c2, f7, king takes b1, and finally f8 with bringing a queen into the game. And now the queen will not allow this pawn to queen up, or if it does, it's just going to capture it and not allow the king to capture back. So here is how you do that. King to c2, you have to move the king out of the way to promote this pawn, but now you get queen to f5 check, controlling this b1 square. King to c1, and now queen to f1 check, king to c2, queen to c4 check. Now either the king has to go to b1 and block the position, or again king has to move away from it, and then you're gonna put your queen here or here and then try to attack this b1 square. King to d2, queen to b3. Now you're not allowing this pawn to be pushed, because if you push the pawn, you're just gonna capture it. King to c1. Now again you give some checks. Queen to c3 check, and king to b1. Finally, when the king is at the b1 square, you are now going to move your king closer into the game. So king to f3, getting closer to this piece, and it's just 4 moves away. Till then you can keep checking the king. King to a2, king has to move away in order to allow it to queen up, and queen to c4 check. King to a3, queen to b5, and again king to a2. Queen to a4 check. Now the king cannot go here or here. He has to, or here. He has to go to b1. That's the only square available. Again, when king goes to b1, you bring your king into the game. King to e2. And this is exactly what you have to keep repeating, because now he doesn't have any moves left. King to c1 has to be played, and this is again mate in 1. Just queen to d1 is checkmate. This is what Anand should have played, After king to c8, Anand had to play this rook to d7, and he would have then won a wonderful game. But because he was in time trouble, he had very less time on the clock, he was not able to calculate everything, and he was thinking, what happens if there is a queen into the game, you end up giving your knight, even though you have a pawn, then two rooks against a queen and a pawn, and you have your own pawn. There's so much to calculate in this game. So instead not that move, but instead he played king to g3, not playing this first and then putting his king closer, but directly putting his king closer, and this again reduces his advantage. And now Topalov can either try to push the pawn or try to hold even for a draw. So king to a1 was immediately played, attacking this piece. Rook to g4, bringing the rook back and attacking this pawn here. Now b2, you getting even closer. It's just one move away, and definitely Topalov is thinking to give up this pawn for this wonderful piece. And now you cannot move this knight from here, because it has to keep an eye on this b1 square, and you cannot move this rook because it is defending the knight, as once you play queen to c1, your knight will be attacked. So rook to c4 check, not allowing the queen to come to this square with an attack on your knight. So at least for now your knight is defended, and you can move this rook as well. King to b7, king to f2, getting closer to the position, and now b1, getting a queen into the game, asking, what do you want to do next? He says, I don't have a choice and I have to capture, so knight captures b1, queen takes b1, and now rook d to d4, going after this pawn. That's a simple idea. Queen to a2 check, king to g3, and now a3, finally pushing the pawn, getting out of this attack, but this pawn is not going anywhere, so you could attack it. And rook to c3, attacking the pawn. The next move is going to be rook to a4, and again double attacking. Queen to a1, and now rook to b4 check first. King to a6, now again rook to a4 check, and king to b5. Rook c captures a3, and it would have been better if he would have captured it with the other rook, but this was again a drawing move, because from here it's a draw by this queen, giving a lot of checks to the king, and none of these rooks can come to any of the files to defend any of the checks. So that's exactly what happens. Now we have a bunch of checks. Queen to g1 check, king to f4, queen to c1 check, king to f5, queen to c5 check, king to e4, queen to c2 check, king to e3, queen to c1 check, king to f2, queen to d2 check, king to g3, queen to e1 check, again same thing repeat, king to f4, queen to c1 check, king to g3, king to g1 check, and king to f4. This was the final position on the board, as both the players have realized the game is not leading anywhere and it's going to be a draw. So it was a roller coaster ride for Anand, especially because he was in time trouble, and then he gained some time but couldn't find the exact winning move, and eventually Topalov was able to hold this for a draw. An amazing game with so much of poison in it, and it's just amazing how these grandmasters play these positional chess, and tells you the importance of time control. You have to maintain your calm and composure, find the best moves within the given amount of time that you have. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game. This was game 9, and the points are 4.5 each. That's all from me. Namaste. See you next time.